So if you haven't grabbed lunch, grab lunch. You can eat while we talk. But before, yeah, go ahead and do that. So while you're grabbing lunch or getting something to eat, let me just ask a basic question. You guys can kind of throw out your answers. What caused you to get out of bed today and come here to this particular class? Like, what's your reason for being here? Let me start. I'll put it up first. We're going to write them over here. I'll put the first one up, make it easy for you guys, because Todd's awesome. I know that. You don't have to add.
Ralph is awesome.
Ralph is here. That's another good reason. R-A-U. How do you? R-A-L-F is here. Okay. So seriously, why did you get? What caused you to go? I'm going to go to that class. Because let's admit it. It takes time out of our life. Right? We all have a life other than this office or this business. So you came here for a reason. And one thing I want to make sure is that when you leave here, whatever reason it was, we've covered it, we've talked about it, or we've extended it, right? So
I just want to learn and get from somebody that's already a proven leader and that's already done this in this business that
so
shown that it's effective.
So
check number one. Check. Yeah, Todd's awesome. Don't forget that part. Right, so be more specific for me though. Like, what are you trying to learn today? Like what, because you can't learn everything in one day, right? So what are you trying to learn today?
Specifically, obviously it's about goal setting, but what's a realistic goal, especially as a new agent?
Goals, okay. And can we say numbers?
Yeah.
Would that work? Okay, who else?
I want to make sure that it gets started in the right track, so I follow your business plan.
Okay, so maybe, yeah, we're back to number one. So we'll just put down business plan. Okay.
I need tasks to better my business.
So accountability.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I misspell something, it's a test for you. And the test is to see whether you can go without saying something. Because I will misspell several things. I don't spell very well. Ann, you had your hand up.
I did. I'm here because kind of the same thing Liberty's saying out there, just learning those numbers and how to put them into play so that you can reach your goal.
Okay.
Learning the whole key aspects of what you're supposed to do, how to follow up, how to when, where, what.
So goal setting, accountability. What is a business plan, or can we put something in place that causes me to do these things? Okay, good. So that's all basically the same. Anything else? Number one.
I have business in my life. I've worked 23 years, clock in, clock out, so this is something new for me. So
Okay.
I'm here just to hear everybody's thoughts and thoughts.
Cool. I'm not afraid of that one. Anything else? Like, what caused you to get here today? When you go home tonight and you talk to whoever you talk to at night, whether it be your significant other, your pets, God, I don't know, whoever you talk to, like, I want to make sure that you say, man, I did not waste 2 hours of my time today.
2 hours?
Just future success.
Hey, I'm leaving at an hour too, so don't worry.
I just put myself on the right path to be successful in the future. And
Okay.
by showing up at whichever training, again, from somebody who's been in business and been successful,
Okay,
I want to take it as much as I can.
good. Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna cover that for sure. All right, so let me thank everyone for coming. I think we'll have more people join as we go. I want to have Myra come up though, because I know she has some super important stuff to go do that doesn't include any of us, which is fine. She's supplied lunch. Do you guys know who Myra is? Prosperity Lending. Share your.
That's Lender.
I'm a lender. I mostly work out of this office. However, with COVID, we're in the process of getting licensed and all that stuff. So working from home, but I'm down the street. So, should you guys ever need anything, I'm just a phone call away. But going, with goals and business planning, part of that I think is very important is also to have a lender that you can trust in, who can provide tools and to be a resource for you, because it's not just, hey, I have this thing, team. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we all have the same goal, and that's to get the buyer pre-qualified into a home and giving them their keys. So having that lender that you can trust, you know, is super important. We do have a few tools that, you know, we can help you guys with, programs such as, one of the most popular ones that, you know, we always say is list reports. This one is absolutely a free program to you guys as realtors. This can do like individual property websites if you have a listing. It can do a coming soon, it can do just sold, it can do open house flyers in literally a matter of minutes. Just plug in the address, put in your contact information, and then you get this like awesome flyer that comes out. We also have marketing, so let's just say you have like a very special home, $1 million home, and you don't want just, you know, your basic flyer. We can get that ready and together for you. Another program that we offer is called Homebot, and basically you upload your clients into this to their website, and what they do is they send out like a monthly, weekly to monthly newsletter, and it's actually pretty awesome. So I put myself on my own campaign, and I literally will click it every single time I get it because it says, hey, this is what your home value is. The area sells, the neighborhood, this is how your neighborhood, your zip code is doing. So it's based off of your interest rates that you have today, you could potentially save, and then it's co-branded. So if you upload your client and you're paired with myself, anything that goes out is gonna go with your name, and then it's gonna go to us, to me. So if they contact me or contact you, you know, they have that information every single newsletter that goes out, which is awesome. But other than that, you know, A to Z lending, down payment assistance, $1 million jumbo loans, all that stuff. So if you guys have any questions, I don't want to take too much time. I'm going to leave my business cards here. If you guys have any questions or, you know, want to get together and see what individualized thing will work for you guys, because everybody's different, we're just here to help. Thank you.
Questions? All right, so let me say this. Of all of the things that every lender ever talks about, Homebot, if you don't use it, it's probably the least expensive, most effective tool you could use for people who own a home. It's for sellers, and in this business, your goal should typically be focused on sellers. And is it $25 a month?
$5, yeah.
Like, it's nothing a month, and the information that they get is very engaging. Like, it even asks them, here's what we think your home is worth. If you disagree with that, click here. And of course, what does every homeowner disagree with? How much their home is worth, right? So who gets that click? You do. And then you get to reach out and go, hey, I see that Homebot says your home's worth this. Do you care if I check it out for you and I'll stop by and share with you what I learned? Why do they care what their home is worth? They might be thinking about selling, right? They might be thinking about refinancing, right? So somebody's going to get a piece of business out of it, right? So if you haven't used Homebot, you should look at that. It's super inexpensive, and again, it's for sellers, and I think that's an avenue that you should be looking at as you business plan for next year. You should be looking at buyers. All right, there's sellers. So let me ask this question. What is your focus in the business? I'm going to start here. I'm going to go all the way around. Every one of you are going to have to answer. So anybody who came today thinking they're going to sit in the back and not participate, you were wrong. I'm sorry. It's just how I operate. Any class you ever come with me, I only function well when you guys function. And so I need the input so I know what you guys need to hear and what you need to talk about. So Ralph, what's your focus? And we're talking about buyers and sellers here. So what's your focus for 2022? Are you focused on buyers? Or are you focused on sellers?
I wanted to focus more on sellers, but I am doing a lot of open houses and I'm getting a lot of buyers.
Okay.
But I wanted to
So
focus on
you want to focus on sellers, but you're getting buyers. And so my question though was, what do you want to focus on in 2022?
more listings.
So you more sellers. Okay, so you want to go sellers.
More sellers,
Okay. What's your business today?
it's more buyers.
Okay.
I want sellers too.
Okay. What's your business today?
Today I'm just, today is buyer.
Today you have a buyer.
To buyer.
Okay, good.
Same plus farming in my neighborhood.
Okay, so farming in your neighborhood is sellers. That's a seller activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
To be
So-
only in my neighborhood, nobody knows me now, but that's my plan for 2023.
Okay, good. Buyers or sellers?
Sellers.
Okay.
My sphere of influence for me, I think once I'm up and running, I have a lot to offer for them, and I have a lot of people that, in my past profession, that
Okay.
I think would be something I want to focus on.
So to be clear, first year in the business, and you're already up and running, so you can stop saying that now. You can stop saying when I get up and running, because you are up and running, right? Okay. Buyers or sellers?
I want to do sellers. I am currently working with a lot of renters.
Okay.
A lot of renters.
So hoping to make the leap, because that's a huge leap, right? So it's pretty interesting because when I typically teach this and I ask that question, I get about a 50-50 split of people who want to work with buyers. Because there are agents that want buyers. They don't want to take a listing. They don't want to work on listings for millions of different reasons. There's no right, there's no wrong, right? Okay, but what your focus for the next year is important because today, how many days away from next year are we? Anybody know?
90-ish.
Just under 90, right? We're the 13th, so we're, what is that, like 87 days away or 77 days away? What you do today, literally what you do today, tomorrow, Friday, next Monday, will manifest itself in results starting at the first of the year. It's just how this business works. It's about a 90-day business. Whatever effort you put in today will likely come about in 90-ish days. I have an agent on my team, Wally, some of you may know him. He's literally been talking to a seller for about 90 days exactly today. We were just looking at the time frame, and his listing just went live today, right? It took about 90 days. This was a sphere of influence person for him, someone who knew that he was in the business. Wally made a very similar career transition like you did. He was in the audio, video, movie industry for 35 or 40 years, transitioned into the real estate business, and people now recognize him as a realtor rather than the guy that's shooting all the video for Access Hollywood, which is what he did for years. So that's your challenge, by the way. Everybody who knows you, who likes you, that would do business with you, still sees you in a construction trailer on the strip. Your job now is to help them understand that your focus has now become buying and selling real estate. So that's one thing you'll need to put on your business plan is how you're going to get your sphere to change their focus on what you do, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so all of you want to work on sellers, which I think is cool, by the way. That's what you should do in this business. What do you do to get ready to go to a listing? What are you going to do? What's the plan? Pull comps, okay? Going to do that, right? Everyone's going to do that. You're probably going to pull comps, and they're going to probably go to somebody else and go, hey, can you look at these comps to see if they're like, am I right or am I wrong? Like, I want to make sure I get there. Look, I've been in the business for 16 years, and I pull comps once in a while and go, wow, this one's hard. Like this one, there's no right or wrong. It's all over the damn place. What am I doing here? So I'll go get somebody who's newer in the business than me, and I'll have them look at it because I just want a different perspective, right? So that's going to happen quite a bit. What else do you do to get ready for a listing appointment?
Listing packet.
Okay, so you have an actual packet that you print. Okay, what do you do with it?
I send it before usually. If I have the chance to drop it off, I will.
Okay, so send it prior to your appointment. You'll drop it off at the house. Do you drop it off at work? Their work? Okay, think about that. Hey, is it okay? I need to get some paperwork into your hands, and is it okay if I just pop by your office real quick and drop it off? Why would I want to do that? Exposure. Because as soon as you walk out, what does everybody that worked there say? Hey, who's that guy? Well, for about 10 years, my brother-in-law used to say, oh, it's my brother-in-law. No, Joe, I'm your realtor. I'm not your brother-in-law, okay? When I come in your office, I'm not here as your brother-in-law. I'll see you at your house if you want me to be your brother-in-law, right? Like some of you ever heard me tell that story, right? I'm your realtor. Oh, that's my realtor. Oh, wow, validity right away, right? So dropping it off at work might be something you're going to write in your business plan for 2022. And your focus to work with sellers is that you're going to be dropping that off. All right, what else does anybody else do for sellers? Persia, get ready. That's it. We're going to do a pre-listing pack. We're going to pull comps.
I haven't had it before, so I don't know.
Okay, but you're listening and you're learning, right? What do you think you would do? Like, what feels comfortable?
I would probably go to the neighborhood, maybe kind of see what's going on, pull things, like in the neighborhood, like pull comps possibly around
Okay,
a bigger part of the neighborhood.
so taking that to the next step would be that you would actually go preview every home in the neighborhood that's for sale. So now I know when they say, oh, Billy down the street sold his house for $700,000 and you're telling me 600, I know how much Billy's house sold for. And by the way, I was in Billy's house. I just previewed it. Now, it's going to be hard to preview homes that are occupied, right? But if there's anything vacant within a mile of your listing, you should have been in that home before your meeting. That's very simple for sellers, okay? Christian, you had your hand up.
Prepare the actual presentation to the seller. What I do is I role play with anybody who's available and I prepare what I'm going to say to the seller.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, if they're horrible clients, I'll prepare for that. And most of the time they're super nice, but I prepare.
Yeah, I have that problem. They're super nice. I'm not. We have to figure out how to get along, right? Right? I mean, that's the truth. So you role play.
Absolutely.
Anybody else role playing? Does everybody know what that is? Yeah? Anybody else doing it? That's crazy talk right there. Like, what are you talking about, role play? Like, get in front of a mirror? Hey, how are you? My name is Todd Barton. Thanks for inviting me into your home. I'm excited to be here today. By the way, would you mind if you showed me around your home? I'd like to just get a sense of what you love about your home. Maybe you could point out 2 or 3 things that are super exciting that you love about your home. Okay, great. That's so weird, right? I mean, there's this guy standing here talking to himself in a mirror, but guys, it works. You got to do that. You've got to see what your face looks like when you're talking to somebody. Do you know why? Because some of you are like me. You're low energy. I'm a very low energy person. I'm not a high energy person. I might come across today as fairly high energy because as I've learned over time as I teach, that's what I have to do. I have to bring up my energy level. But let me tell you what happens to me when I do this. My personality type is not high level. I'm a very low key, very easygoing, very simple person. I'm not super high key. Like, I don't get excited about very much. Do you guys watch baseball? Like, my Atlanta Braves advanced to the National League Division Championship yesterday, and I'm like the hugest Braves fan on the planet. And my wife looked at me and went, "That's all you got?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is exciting," right? She's like, "That's it?"
Like, aren't you happy? I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm just happy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there you go. There you go. I was spoiled as a kid watching them play. So I know that I have to bring up my energy. You want to know what I do when I'm on my way to a listing appointment? By the way, I do all of these things. I have a pre-listing package. I actually drop it off on their porch in a USPS next day air package, and I stand it up against the door. So when they drive into their driveway, they see something at their door, and they're like, "Oh, I got a package. This is the greatest day." Oh, it's just from that guy, Todd. Right? But at least they get excited, right? Their neighbors see there's a package on their door. Like, I do that, right? I've role played for years. Like what I just did in that mirror, in that TV, I've done that 1,000 times because I need to be good when I get to that door, right? I've pulled comps. I've previewed homes. Like, I've done all of that stuff, and it takes practice. Is anybody in here naturally good at something outside of real estate? Just naturally good at it?
For sure.
Yeah, like what?
I don't know.
No, you have a daughter.
For sure.
You have a daughter.
Yeah.
You're naturally good as a mother, probably. I mean, I don't know. I've never been around you two. But,
We'll ask the kids when they grow up.
well, we'll see, right? I mean, we'll see when they get to be about my kids' age, and we'll see what they do, right? Anybody naturally good? Can anybody play the piano just because they sat down and they can play it?
Yeah, Christian.
Christian?
Let me tell you something. I'm talent walking right now.
No, you guys don't know this, but musically, that's where you came from, right? You came out of the music industry.
On the stage, and I was a musician and an entertainer here in this room. Yeah.
So acting is not out of the realm for him, right? It is for me. Like I came out of the automotive repair business. I worked on cars for 20 years. And I got into real estate shortly after that. Like I was a webmaster. I sat behind a computer for 5 years and I developed web pages and created shopping carts and all those things that they do on the web. And then all of a sudden I'm in the real estate business and I'm like, what the hell just happened to me? Because this is not my comfort zone. I don't like this, right? So I had to figure that out. I had to figure out how to bring my energy up. So anybody else in here low energy? It's okay if you are. There's no right or wrong. It's not good or bad. Like I don't get excited very easy. You want to know what I do for my listing appointments?
You take a shot,
A shot?
do some jumping jacks before.
Might not be a bad choice. I'm not a drinker. I've never tried that. But I listen to music. Okay. Maybe. Yeah, so I listen to music. This is exactly what I listen to every single time I go on a listing appointment. Persia, you ready? I listened to this morning when I came to work because I knew I had to teach this class.
And what was the song?
Yes.
DC?
I'm sitting in front of their house and I'm listening to this song because it takes my energy level from here to here. Like when this song is over, when that beginning starts, I'm just like, this is my world. I'm like a 70s rock kid. I know that doesn't seem like that's even possible, but it absolutely is. Like if this doesn't get your energy level up, I don't know what does. But here's what I'll tell you. Part of your plan for 2022 needs to be, how do I get there every single time? How do I get to that appointment and be at a level that that person on the other side has no choice but to react to me? There was not a single person that wasn't doing this when that thing started, right? Because I listen to music. That's my thing. All right. So figure out what that is for you. I don't know what that is for everybody because everybody's different. But that's my song right there. Like that song, I have a 5-year-old grandson. I don't know if you guys know that, but he sits in the back seat of my truck. If that song comes on the radio, he goes like this immediately because he knows I'm going to reach over and turn it up as loud as it'll go because that's just my song. I love that song. All right, so guys, there's lots of things in this business that are going to help you get better. There's lots of the things that are going to help you be successful. You have to start identifying what those things are. Whether they're comfortable or whether they're not comfortable, you've got to figure that out. I had a class here last Wednesday for my team. It was a team event, and it was a guy that does social media at a real high level. And man, he has me so far out of my comfort zone right now with social media because he says you should never ever post a social media post that doesn't have your face in it. And I'm like, dude, I don't put my face in anything. That's not even an option.
Oh, was that your first?
Did you see my post today? Yeah, my first one, yeah. Because I had a black eye. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how could I get in this but not be in this because I'm not comfortable doing that.
Put a filter. There are filters.
Yeah, no, that's too hard. I'm too old for that. I'm not putting any filters. No, but he's got me out of my comfort zone. And by the way, one of my business plans for 2022 is to up my social media. Guys, I've been doing this for 16 years and however long social media's been around. If you go look at my social media, you're like, that guy's pretty boring. Like, I got to get better at that. If I want my business to grow, I got to get better, right? It's uncomfortable. All right. Do you want to listen to that song again? Because I love that song. No? All right, so let's kind of get to business planning. What are some of the things that we need to be worried about? What are some of the things we should be tracking? How do we become accountable to our business? How do we become accountable to our time that we spend in this business? Does anybody have an unlimited amount of time to spend doing real estate? I think there's two there. Will you grab one to her? Does anybody have unlimited time? Like no other responsibilities, no other things that you want to do in life? I don't know, what do they call that? Hobbies? Anybody? No? Oh, I need one of those so I don't forget. Okay, so we need to hold our time accountability. We need to hold our time accountable in our business. Because when we don't hold ourselves accountable to the time we spend, guess what happens? Very little. You're spinning your wheels. Like very little happens. When you hold yourself accountable, if you hold your time accountable to what you're supposed to be doing, you can do more things in less time, which gives us more time to do what? Whatever the hell we want to do. I don't know what that is. It's different for everybody, right? But we get to do whatever we want to do. So what I've got here today is this is the accountability. This is a sheet that Persia put together very quickly for me. Thank you, Persia, for doing that. But each one of these items on here are things that you should be tracking in your business on a daily basis. You should have goals around every one of these categories for the year, for the month, and for the week, right? So when you talk about setting goals, somebody mentioned that they wanted to set goals and know about their numbers. Here's the sheet. Here's where we're going to do that, okay? And the question always becomes, and I think you brought this up, the question always becomes, what goals should I set? What is appropriate for my first year in real estate? Like, I don't even know. I don't have a clue. Who's been in business more than a year? Hold your hand up if it's more than a year. Okay. All right. So you're more than a year. Hold your hand up if it's more than a year. I know that one of you back there has been more than a year. Yeah. Okay. All right. Who's been in 2 years? Okay. So I've been in only 2 years, Christian.
6 years.
Okay. All right.
Same as you.
All right, so yeah, same. That's absolutely right. We're about 16 years together. All right, here's my point. Those of you that have been in for 2 years or more, or around that time, have a different perspective, have a different idea around what could possibly happen in the next year. Those of you that are just getting in, let me just be really honest. You have some ideas of what you would like it to look like. You have some hopes and some dreams. But the reality of what it actually ever will be, you don't really know. And that's not good nor bad. It's just, it is what it is. I hope that your hopes are up here. I hope that your dreams are up here and we can help you get there faster, because if you're thinking down here, you're never going to get to here, right? If that makes sense. All right. So what's the first one on there? I'm going to go down the list. We're going to talk about each one. We're going to talk about what those numbers should look like possibly. We're going to talk about what the goals should be on a daily basis. And we'll talk in a real general national average, okay? So we're going to be using what NAR has used statistically for years as what these averages happen to be. Okay? Fair? What's the first one on there?
Lead generation jobs.
Okay, does anybody in here make phone calls? Okay, so everyone in here, you know that's part of the business. Does anybody go, nope, not doing it? Never going to make a phone call in my whole entire life. All right, good. That was me for the first 4 or 5 years of my business. I'm like, I ain't doing that. Sorry. Like, one thing you're going to learn about me is when I've decided I'm not going to do something, I just don't do it. I find some other way to become successful or do what I'm trying to do, right? So I think in today's world, and I think it's amplified now because of COVID and because of the shutdown and because people are still a little hesitant to get out into the public. I think making phone calls is a must-have in 2022. You're going to have to be doing this. All right. What does it say, though? It doesn't say phone calls. What did it say again? Lead generation phone calls. What do we mean by lead generation? What do we, in its simplest form, what are we doing?
New people, not your friends, new people that are thinking of buying or selling real estate.
New people that we don't know, that we've never spoken to about real estate. They're just new people. Chris Bishop calls it hunting. I'm hunting. I'm looking for somebody that I don't already know, that hasn't already told me they might buy or sell a house, and I want to talk to those people. How many of those people should we be talking to per day? 20 or 30? Now, let me be clear.
Not talking, dials.
Okay, dials, all right. Okay, so 20 or 30 dials. That's not conversations you're saying. That's just dials. Okay, good. Anybody else have any other perspective?
As much as you can.
As much as you can. Okay, what would determine how much you can?
As time allows, like how much time you put into the lead generation on your schedule.
Okay, so how much time you've planned in your calendar that day to do lead generation, right? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a planned activity. It's not oh my gosh, I've got some free time, I think I'll make some phone calls. Guess what? It never happens. Has to be in your calendar, has to be planned. What else has to be planned? Okay, has to be in your schedule, plan, but what else has to be planned as part of this activity? Okay, scripts.
Schedule for who to appointment.
Who to call. If I told all of you right now the reason why I called you today was so that I could get you to make phone calls and you didn't know this, so pick up your phone and start calling, 90% of you would say to me, who do I call? Right? That's part of business planning, guys. It's knowing that I'm going to make phone calls 5 days a week. I'm hoping for 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week. That's the goal, guys. Write that down. 15 hours a week of lead gen. 15 hours a week of lead gen. That's calling people, texting people, door knocking, open houses, any activity that we do as real estate agents to talk to someone we've never spoken to before. Now, I have a really good friend of mine. She wore this name badge. Anybody have a name badge on? You do? Let me see it. Oh, it's not on. She's a secret agent today. All of you are secret agents. Like when you walk down the street, you just expect someone, well, that guy looks like a real estate agent. Is that what I'm getting? Because you don't have name tags on. He's a Browns fan today. Like if anybody from Cleveland seen you, you'd have a conversation, right? But what would your conversation be about?
Start about Cleveland.
It would be about Cleveland.
Right.
Yeah, sports. But you have to learn how to convert that over to a real estate conversation, right? That's a challenge, by the way, because that is not easy to do. It's very difficult, actually. What are you and I going to talk about if I run into you somewhere? I don't know. You have nothing on you that identifies it. Nothing. Like I would ask you if you just got out of jail.
You gonna ask me if I just got?
Yeah, you got on a striped shirt. You look like you just got out of jail. It's not orange, but do you get my point? Why do we wear name tags? Why do we wear name tags? Because people can identify who we are. And if they have a need, they can then talk to us about it. I was at a car dealership yesterday with my daughter. She's trying to buy a car. She's 23 years old. Her dad's a hard ass. She's in college. She cannot have a finance car, period. You could only drive a car that's paid cash. And if you don't have a car that's paid cash, you don't have a car if you live in my house, right? She gets in a car. She had a paid for car. She gets in a car accident about 8 months ago. Has it been 8 months, Persia?
Yeah.
6 or 8 months ago. And she doesn't have a new car yet. Do you know why? She doesn't have enough money saved up to get a new car. It's a struggle. She's a professional photographer by trade. It's like she goes and shoots weddings, and she just went to Idaho, and like she's all, it's a struggle. But the rule is, if Papa's paying for college, you're having a car that's paid for, and I ain't paying for your second car. I already bought your first one, right? So there's rules and challenges. So I'm at a car dealership with her, so she's finally got $25,000 saved up, right? She comes to me on the Saturday and says, will you go to the Apple store with me today? And I'm like, I will, but I thought you were trying to save for a car. Well, I need a computer to do my photos on. I hear you, but I thought you needed a car. I do, but so by the way, we didn't go. She figured out that she needs to get a car. So I go to the car dealership, and the guy comes out, and we're talking about the car she wants. And literally, she's been looking for a car for 6 months, guys. This is an everyday task for her. She's been lead generating for cars for 6 months. She's calling and talking to car dealerships, people that work there, about a car she sees that's advertised. And she walks in and she says, I want that black GMC right there. I called you 30 minutes ago, and I want that car. Guy goes, yeah, great, let me get the keys. Goes inside, comes back out. Guess what? Somebody got there 10 minutes before her and bought that car. She's been lead generating for a car for 6 to 8 months. What do you think happens to a 23-year-old when that happens? Total devastation. Like it was the car she'd been looking for. It was a 2018 and only had 20,000 miles on it. Oh, another one of Dad's things has to be low mileage, right? I'm making it hard on her, but she's going to figure this out. Guys, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to lead generate for 3 hours a day, and someone's going to list a home down the street from you that you just talked to them a month ago and they go do it with somebody else. You have that problem.
Well, my whole neighborhood, I farm my neighborhood, and I'm going, why did 5 signs come up? So I went back to them, I go, hey, I was here last month, what happened? Oh, my friend. I said, oh, I thought I was your friend.
My better friend. No, I don't know. So, by the way, this happened to me early on in my career. You know who listed their home without me? Not my brother-in-law. That asshole's never sold his house yet. 25 years. I've known him for almost 30 years. He's never bought or sold a house with me. But he will someday. Anyway, who do you think it was? I'm like 4 years into the business. Thanksgiving Day. Does that help?
Your parents?
I go over to this house for Thanksgiving Day and there's a for sale sign in the front yard.
In-laws?
My grandmother. My grandmother. Grandma, what happened? Well, my attorney said that I should use this person because of my estate planning, and I got beat out by an attorney. I didn't get beat out by another real estate agent. But it happens. Guys, it's going to happen. Don't worry about it. It's just going to happen. Lead generating 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 15 hours a week. That should be your goal. Are you going to reach that goal on day 1? Probably.
3 hours is nothing, guys.
3 hours on the first day is probably going to happen. How about the second day? How about the 15th day? That's when it gets difficult, right? It's 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road, a month down the road. That's when this becomes hard, okay? So, but that's your goal. That's what you should be doing. It should be lead generate 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 15 hours a week. People you don't know, you've never met, new activities. And if you need a list of things that you could do for lead generation, send me an email and I'll send you a list.
On my experience, I've got it down to my first listing from cold calling took me, and this is where people get turned off, 50,000 calls, right?
50,000 calls.
50,000
50,000 dials.
50,000 dials on an auto dialer.
Yep.
But if you transpose it to what Todd said, it was actually 50 hours on the phone. And it's as easy as that. If I spend 50 hours on the phone talking to new people about listing their home, I will get a listing eventually.
So let me ask you this question. How much was the house?
This was in 2018. My very first one, it was 270,000.
All right, so let's say 300,000, 3% commission, it's 9,000 bucks. If I said to you, you spend 50 hours making calls, you're gonna make $9,000. You good? You can do the math later if you want, but I promise you that's a pretty good wage. And when you get better at it, does it take you 50 hours now?
One of the things about it is that once you do these 50 calls, you have all of these leads that are not necessarily ready
Today,
but so from
eventually.
the original 120 hours that I did in 2018, over the last 3 years, I've closed 7 properties. So I didn't do new calls. I just kept in touch with the people that were willing to talk to me. And over the last 3 years, I've sold 7 properties. One of them was wife and a couple got divorced, so I listed their home and I sold.
Bottom 2 homes.
Yeah, and bought
Yeah.
homes. So it was just those original 120 hours that I did, and I kept talking to these people over the last 3 years, and they was happy to call. I mean, at one point, if you're in front of them so much, they will call you. You made a good impression over.
Yeah. So lead generation isn't about getting the low-hanging fruit. It's not about the one that's ready today. It's about the one that we're going to stay in touch with over time. We're going to talk about that today as well. All right. Any questions about lead gen? These are dials, guys. These are just numbers that you've dialed. These are not conversations that you've had. Okay? What's number 2? Say it again. Lead generation? Source. Okay. What does that mean? It means I want to keep track of what actually I'm doing today. So is my 3 hours of lead generation on Saturday, is it phone calling? Is it door knocking? Is it an open house? What is my source for that day? Because I want to track my results, which we're going to get to here, to know what I'm good at. Who's good at door knocking? Anybody? Don't know? Some don't know? Yeah, pretty good. All right. How about cold calling? Who's good at cold calling? Pretty good? Okay. What are you good at specifically, if you don't mind me asking?
I guess it's my tone of voice. People,
Yeah, you're super nice.
they reciprocate.
Yeah.
And I
So
keep
you have
it-
conversations.
Yeah, and I keep it, instead of the high pressure aggressive, I keep it more, can I help you with anything?
Sure.
Can I stay in touch with you?
Customer service
I feel
based.
more comfortable with that, so I think I come off more.
Some people call that the ninja selling method or the great customer service. Yeah, no, it's a way to do it. Who's good at anything else in the business that's lead generation? Like, what are you really good at in lead generation? I would tell you that you don't know because you haven't done enough of it, to be honest with you. You know what I'm really good at? Sphere of influence. I dominate my sphere of influence. You know why? Because that's all I care about. I'm pretty good at an open house. Really good at an open house. But you know, remember we talked about that energy level thing? I struggle with that for 3 hours at an open house because, man, I get there and I'm hyped up because I just listened to my favorite song. And then about halfway through, I got to go back out and find the song again because my energy's down. So I'm not great, but I'm pretty good. But what you'll find out when you track your lead source, what your lead generation source is, you'll find out what you're good at. Why do we need to know that? You can double down on it, exactly. Because you're going to double down on the things that you're good at. Let me share a quick story. Man, this class is going to be so long. I'm sorry, guys. We may have to do this a second time. I meet this girl. I've known her for years. She is an avid lead generation person. She spends 3 hours every single day at her desk. She barricades herself in her desk. She puts up signs. She puts things in front of her desk. She doesn't let anybody interrupt her 3 hours a day. And she comes to me and she says, "Hey, Todd, thinking about coaching. Will you coach me?" So we have several conversations around this, and I say, okay, we're gonna do this. So we start talking about these things, and I said, what do you do for your lead generation activity? I cold call for sell-by owners and expires. Or I don't cold call them, I call for sell-by owners and expires. I said, great, where do you get your information from? I farm all of my information off of the internet on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, wait. What do you mean you farm it? Oh, I go to Zillow and I record names and numbers. I go to Craigslist and I get names and numbers off of Craigslist. I go to all of the sell by owner sites. I get names and numbers off of there. And then during the week, I call those people. Wow. So you're putting in the work. Guys, when I said avid, I'm not joking. Like, she understood that she needed to know what numbers to call for her 3 hours. Now, somebody told her that she would just lead generate for 3 hours a day. She would be successful in the business. She wasn't not successful, let's be clear. She just wasn't as successful as she could be. So this happens in about August, September-ish of the year. And I say, okay, all right. A couple weeks go by, we're coaching, we're having conversations, and I say, so let me ask, you don't have anything in escrow right now, like what's going on? You're not doing your lead gen, what you're doing should be producing results, what's going on? No, I mean, I'm doing it every day. I'm there, and I know she's there doing it because I see her in the office doing it. And it's just not being successful. And I'm like, man, as much effort, 7 days a week she's working, guys. Saturdays and Sundays she's farming phone numbers and names. I'm like, do you know there's like 5 services out there that will give you that information for a very nominal fee? Yes, but my husband won't let me buy it until I'm more successful. Those were her words. I was like, wow, you're getting a divorce soon, I can tell. It's fine. So she says to me, I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing. I said, okay, here's the activity I want you to do. Guys, flip your paper over and write this one down. I want you to go and I want you to find out every real estate deal you've closed in the past 24 months. And I want you to write down where that came from. I want to know what the source of that lead was. Does that make sense? Some of you don't have anything to write down, I get it. But this is something you should be tracking as you go through your business. As soon as you close your first deal, the source of that deal should be high on your mind. Where did I get that from? Because when I learn where I got it from, I'm going to double down on it, right? Because something caused me to be successful there. So she goes and does this, 24 months. She says, that's going to be hard. I said, I don't care. We're not meeting again until you bring to me the source of every one of the things that you closed. So we go through this. She had closed, I don't know, it was somewhere like 17 or 18 deals over the last couple of years. By the way, she had just moved here from New Mexico. She was new to the Valley. She didn't have friends or family here. I mean, she was that agent that had no sphere of influence here, but still thought she could do it. By the way, she could do it. She just was doing some small things wrong. So I said, great, let's talk about all of these that you had closed, nearly one a month on average. That's really good for someone who's new to the Valley. Congratulations. So where does it, how many What did she do for her lead gen source? What was it? Cold calling for sell-by owners and expireds. So as I sit this list, I expect to see a lot of closed deals from for sell-by owners and expireds. How many do you think there were?
0.
Wasn't quite 0. 1. Of all of the business that she had done in 2 years, 1 had come from for sell-by owners and expireds. And I said, Bridget, what are you talking? Wait, what are you saying to me here? You're saying to me that what you spend 3 hours of your day doing and your weekends as well has only generated this much income for you? Yeah, but someone told me if I do it, it will happen. And I'm like, I appreciate your persistence. Like, has anybody heard of Think and Grow Rich? It's a book, right? If you ever read chapter 1, if you ever get down on life or you're not sure what, go read chapter 1 of Think and Grow Rich. It's great. It like keeps you going, right? Well, she believed in that. And I'm like, man, we got to change this. We literally have to change something because what you're doing isn't working for you. I was as bold to say that you suck at talking on the phone because I had sat and listened to her because I was perplexed on why what she was doing wasn't working. So I would go sit at a desk 3 desks away acting like I was doing something else, but I was listening to her phone calls and she was horrible on the phones. But someone said, someone she believed in, that guy number 1 up there, Todd, told that's what you got to do. I didn't tell her that, but somebody in that same position in her life told her that, right? So I said, we're going to change this right away. Guess what was the highest producing activity for her? Not, well, sort of, face-to-face. So she had met somebody networking, or she was at some networking event, or she was big into the Clark County School District because she had a kid in school. She'd go to all of those Clark County School District meetings, literally all of them. And I was like, how did you do all of that? Well, I stopped all of that and I started doing this lead gen activity. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, look, you haven't had a closing that way since then. That's interesting. So I said, look, you're not allowed to come to the office anymore. Don't show up in this office for the next 3 weeks. What am I going to do? You're going to go find ways to network with people. You're going to get face-to-face. Guess what she was really good at? Face-to-face. Now, don't think everyone's good face-to-face because I'm not good face-to-face. I'm better face-to-face, but at this stage of my career, I'm really good on the phone. Like I worked through the short sale industry time in this business, and I take listings over the phone. Like it was foreign to me to go to someone's home to have them sign listing paperwork. I'm like, we have digital signatures. Why would I drive across town? I'll just send it to you in your email. You click a few buttons and bam, your house will be for sale. Cool. Nice talking to you. Call you tomorrow. Right? I didn't have that face-to-face interaction. I didn't even have the ability for that. Guys, remember I'm very low energy. Nobody wants to spend a lot of time with someone that's a lot of low energy, right? So Bridget starts to do this activity where she can't come to the office. She only can be in the office 1 week a month. So what happens to her? She goes to her very first Clark County School District meeting. She runs into this lady that she's seen once a week for a year, and the lady goes, oh my gosh, I've been looking all over the planet for you. Literally says this to her. She's like, what do you mean? What's going on? My husband and I wanted to buy a home, and we were looking for you. I couldn't find you, so we're under contract with this other agent that I don't even like. I can't even stand this lady, but I didn't know what else to do. How much do you think the house was? 2. 1.9 million. What happened to her? Remember what happened to my daughter yesterday? Yeah, just devastation, right? All she could talk about was, oh my gosh, I missed out on whatever that commission is. I'm like, yeah, but it's over. Let's get past it. Can't do anything about it. What you can start doing is going back to that meeting every week, like you were doing. You can start getting more social and seeing people face to face. Then she comes back a week later and goes, I don't know what to do because that same lady wants me to sell her house. I'm like, okay, what do you mean you don't know what to do? Like you don't know what form to use? When you say you don't know what to do, I'm confused. Like get a listing agreement, a duties owed, RDG. She's like, no. She's under contract with another agent. I'm like, yeah, to buy a house, but not to sell a house. I don't care about that other agent. Go take the listing. Oh, I don't know. I don't feel good about that. Oh, good. So you're getting in your own way of being successful in the business. Let's talk about that. Right? She had this high morally thing where she didn't want to interact with another or interrupt another agent. but she wasn't, so we talked through that. So guys, what happens the first quarter of the next year? What do you think happened to her? Yeah, she started selling a bunch of houses. She did more business. She did more gross commission income the first quarter of the next year. That's the first 3 months, guys, than she had done in 2 years. Because the lead generation activity she sucked at, she stopped doing. And the one that she was really good at, she started doing. That's why we track lead source. That's why we track what we did on a day-to-day basis. Because let me be just really honest. You're going to suck at a lot of stuff. You're only going to be good at a few things. And it's your job to figure out what that is. What I do really good, I'm willing to bet most of you won't be able to do it. And what you do really good, I can't do. Because I know what you do outside of this business, and I would kill somebody if I was in that business. I would flip tables over if I ever had to be in your situation. She's a waitress, right? I got to tell you, somebody talk to me like I hear people talk to waitresses, I'd flip the table over on them. I could not be in that business. It's not my personality type.
Sorry, get out of here.
Right? No, I mean, no, not even that. I wouldn't say a word to them. I'd just flip their table over and walk away. They don't even deserve that much from me. Yes?
So how do you figure that out? By
Doing
trying
it.
different things and then tracking it?
Do it. Just do it, track it, do it, and track it. That's why tracking your numbers is hugely important. Everybody will tell you the most important thing you can do in this business is what? What is it? What's the most important thing that you could do in this business? Say again? Okay. Sure, steal my thunder. It's know your numbers. Everybody always has all these other things, but it's know what your numbers are. Because when you track what you do and what the results are, you'll know what to do more of. And you'll know what to do less of. All right? So what's the next one? Okay, what's the difference between the first one and conversations? So dials and conversations, what's the difference?
You met them?
Talking to them.
Okay, so one's a dial of a phone number. Somebody may or may not answer.
Right.
Or the other one is you've actually talked to somebody. Right? Why do we care if we have actually talked to somebody?
Buyers or sellers.
Okay, so we have to talk to people, right? But Christian had a good point. He knew exactly how many hours he spent to get a listing. So now he knows how many hours he has to spend to get a listing. And he tracks that, and he keeps tracking it. That number gets shorter, I promise. It's not 50 hours for him anymore to get a listing, right? Because he knew how long he had to do it to get a listing. So you all said you want to take listings. How many listings do you want for 2022? How many do you want? The answer is you don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
Okay, how many do you want?
12.
12, one a month. Okay, don't know.
I'll take 6.
You'll take 6.
Yeah,
Okay,
more realistic.
really? More realistic? 30 days? You can only one listing? One every 60 days?
I'll be so happy if I get that many.
We got to work on you. Don't know. Okay. Hey, look, it's okay not to know. I don't know. I don't know. You only know if you know what your numbers are. You know how much money you want to make? We'll figure out from how much money you want to make. We'll figure out how many listings you need to take.
Or maybe one a day.
One a day? One a day would make you a trillionaire. That'd be awesome. That'd be good. Might be a little unrealistic in your first year, but I'm not going to get in your way. I'll help you. All right. So you need to know how many people you talk to a day, because you need to know how many people you talk to before you convert to a deal. Think about that. I need to know how many conversations I have to have about real estate to know what it takes to get a deal. If I talk to 20 people a day, will that get me a deal? If I talk to 100 people a week, for the mathematicians, that's 20 times 5, 100 people a week, am I going to get a deal? And if I get a deal, great. What if I don't get a deal? Now what? I've had 100 conversations this week about real estate. Not, hello, hey, this is Todd, the signature, and click. That's not a conversation, guys. Conversation is they talk to me, I talk to them. I have a sense of what their real estate needs and wants are. That's a conversation. How many of those do I have to get a deal done? Do you want to know what the national average is? This is your benchmark, by the way. You want to be average. You have to have 20 a day. 20 conversations about real estate per day, 5 days a week, 100 a week. That's your goal. Everybody that was looking for goals, there it is. You gotta have 100 conversations a week about real estate. Questions? Okay, now let me ask you this. If you have 200 conversations a week, because some of us are go-getters and we're overachievers, and we have 200 conversations, and we don't get a deal, what do we now know? You're not good on the phone. You're not good at conversations. You don't know what to say. You don't know when to say it. But now that I know that, what can I do about it? Yeah, I can role play. I can get my scripts. I can practice to get better at doing that, right? Now, if I don't know how many people I talked to this week, and I still know that I don't have any deals, what can I do about it? Absolutely nothing, because you don't know the problem. You just don't know what the problem is. Does that make sense? Right? So you got to know how many people do you talk to a week to know whether you're any good at it or not. Look, if you're not good at talking to people, we might want to get you into the social media world. You might be better looking than you are at talking. I don't know. Right? It's like I've never got into, like the guy that told me that I had to put my face in every single social media post I ever put up, I was like, dude, nobody wants to see this face. Like, this is not one of those social media faces people want to see. I'm not offended. I know. I'm okay. Right? Like, I'm the guy that goes to the door, knocks on the door, and I back up 6 feet, get off the steps so I look smaller because I'm a big guy, and women don't open the doors for guys that look like me. I mean, do you? Honestly? I came to your door, knocked on your door, and you looked through the peephole and seen me, you'd go, shit. I'm out of here, right? I'm not going to open the door for this guy. I even had an appointment. She still wouldn't open the door, right? Does anybody else have that problem? It's okay if you do, and if you don't, great, it's better for you, right? I had to learn these things about myself in the business because, I had to start warning people, hey, by the way, I'm 6'1", I weigh about 250, I'm a good sized boy, I got a little goatee, I'm harmless though, I promise, I'm harmless. So when you see me at your door, you're gonna know it's me and it'll be okay. Literally, I had to do that. Like, door knocking didn't work for me. Do you know why? I just told you why. No one's opening the door to talk to me. And it was an experiment that I did because I took with me an agent in the office that anybody would open the door for. And I got lots of doors opened. I did all the talking, she got the doors open. It worked out really well, right? We had a little partnership going.
Were you hiding or?
No, I'd stand there with her just behind her off the step. She was about my height on the step and it worked out really well, yeah. I'm not joking, I really had to do this. I had to figure this out in my business. So you said, how do we find out? That's how. We experiment, we test it. All right, 20 conversations a day, 100 a week. If you get a deal out of that, you're pretty good at it. If you don't get a deal, you got to figure out why you didn't get the deal. You got to figure out why you're not good at phone conversations. Your scripts are bad. You're calling up bad numbers. Like, let me ask you this question. If I'm dialing, how many dials do I need to make to get 20 conversations a day? Does anybody know?
A lot.
What is it, Christian?
It's actually 15 to 20 hours per week.
To get 100, to get 20 conversations. No, that's to get 100 conversations.
Right.
So that's in a week, right? Now, I could get the list, who am I calling? That would be my question. At that point, I'd go, who are you calling? Like, where'd you get the numbers? Are they good numbers? Are they bad numbers? Like, are you dialing bad numbers? Did you get these from, I don't know, a title company that pulled them out of Remind and they're 50% bad or 75%? I don't know. But we're going to analyze that and find out, because if you want to talk to more people a day, you got to have better phone numbers. You got to have phone numbers that people answer. Or, what else do you have to do differently? You got to call people when they can answer their phone. My mom just called me. I know you guys that looked at my watch, you thought I was looking at the time. Look, it's 2021. When people look at their watch, it's not about time anymore, right? It's about, someone texts me, it's my mom just called me. But she called me at a bad time. I can't talk. So I can't answer. How many times have you done that trying to call a client? You called them at a bad time, but you hung up the phone all pissed off because they didn't answer your call, all put out like, oh my gosh, they ignored me. They sent me to voicemail. No, they didn't. They were just busy. Get over it. Call them again. When do you call them the next time? Not at the same damn time the next day, that's for sure. Probably later in the day. So you make calls in the morning, you make calls in the afternoon, you make calls at night. I mean, whatever you do, don't make a phone call at 6 o'clock. You might get a piece of business out of it because that's when they're home on the sofa and they can answer the phone, right? You should set up one day a week where you make calls at night from 5 to 7, one day a week. Oh, that's uncomfortable. I just seen 3 people go.
Yeah.
Like
I was shifting in my
like
chair.
shifting in their seats, changing. Right? Yeah, that's uncomfortable as hell, right? 5 to 7 at night when people are at home relaxing. I don't want someone to bug me from 5 to 7, but I wouldn't mind it if I needed to sell my home and I didn't know who to call, and it was $1.7 million and I didn't know who to call. I wouldn't mind if some random person called me on the phone and said, hey, I'm thinking about selling houses in your neighborhood. What do you got? Right? So you're not going to make everybody happy making phone calls, but you're going to get a piece of business at some point. All right, does everybody know the goal now? What's the goal? 100 conversations a week, right? If you can't get a deal out of that, you're calling the wrong people, you suck at script, you don't know how to talk on the phone, your energy level's too low, right? One of the easiest things to do when you're making phone calls, the easiest thing to do is stand in front of a mirror while you're making the call, because you can't not smile at yourself. And I promise you, you can hear, the person on the other end of the phone can hear whether you're smiling or not. I promise you. I know that sounds odd, but you can tell the mood the person on the other phone's on. And if you're in a bad mood, then you better cancel your lead gen for that time and move it to another part of the day. All right, what's the next one?
What's DB?
Database?
What does it say before database?
Conversations, and the next one was DB.
Oh, okay, that's supposed to be nurtures. So put nurtures in your database. That's what that's supposed to be. So from your 100 calls, your 100 conversations, or your 20 conversations a day, or your 5, how many of those conversations were people that agreed that you could stay in touch with them? Not the ones that said, leave me the hell alone, don't ever call me again. The ones that said, yeah, I would love to talk to you again. How many of those people did you put into your database? I don't know, you gotta write the number down. I hope it's all of them. Like, that's the easy answer for sure. Huh? I don't know, however many you talk to. But if 10 of those 20 say, don't call me back, you'd only put 10 in. You record the number 10 that day, right? So if I get 20 conversations in the day and I have 0 nurtures, first of all, what do you have to be able to do what I'm saying?
Conversation.
You have to have a database. You got to have somewhere to put these people that I can use to systematically stay in touch. Okay, that's a database. If you don't have one, there's free ones, there's super expensive ones, there's happy ones in the middle. Like we can figure out which one you should be using, right? But you need somewhere to put them. What's the biggest database in the world? What system is it kept in?
Spreadsheet.
Excel spreadsheet. So you could just use an Excel spreadsheet if you knew how to use that. I don't recommend it, but because there's cheap stuff out there that does a lot better job. All right, so for every person who says I can stay in touch with them, I'm going to put them into my database and I'm going to write down how many of those people are. Now, if I talk to 20 people and nobody says I can stay in touch with them, what's my problem?
You suck.
I suck at talking on the phone. Or I'm not asking the right questions. Your script is not good, right? You're not using a script. But you have to know. We got to know. Look, we got to know. If we're going to fix the problem, we got to know what your numbers are. Oh, hell, I've talked to 100 people, and I'm going to get a job at the Dairy Queen down the street. Like, I could never work at Dairy Queen. I'd be 420 plus fast, right? I love that place. But I know what my problem is. I can't get people to say yes. I can't get people to go, yes, you can stay in touch with me. Yes, I see the value in what you're bugging me on the phone about. Please stay in touch with me. So yeah, my scripts are bad. I don't have any scripts, first of all, that could be. Or I'm just not asking the question. That's an interesting one. Like you spent, I don't know, 10, 15 hours of your week calling people and you never asked them if you could stay in touch? Here's a challenge. The next time you talk to someone you've never met before on the phone, write down on a piece of paper just a little tally. number one, number two, number three. How many times you asked them for business? How many times did I ask that person for a piece of business? Could have been, do you know anybody that needs to buy or sell? I'm looking for a referral. Are you thinking about buying or selling? Could I stay in touch with you? Do you want to meet and learn what your home is worth? Could I stop by and show you what the neighborhood's doing? Like, that's asking for a piece of business. That's asking for a meeting. How many times do you do that? Do you know? Who's good at it? Like, who's good at mixing conversation with the bomb? Like, the bomb is, I want to meet with you, let's get together. That's like, we're all afraid to ask that question, right? Be honest, it's okay, right? That's like what most people look at me and go like, I'm supposed to ask that question? Well, yeah, what do you think they were going to do? Ask you to come over? They're never going to ask you to come over unless they're your mom or your grandma. They're not going to ask you, you got to ask them. You got to provide value on the phone, and then they're going to want to meet with you. They're going to see the value that you bring, okay? So the reason we track this number, how many nurtures, is so I know whether A, the list I'm calling isn't working, B, I don't know the right scripts, I'm not asking the right questions. We just know that there's a gap. That's what we know. When we know there's a gap, the gap is I'm doing the work, I'm making the calls, I'm just not getting the results. When we know there's a gap, now we can build a bridge to get to that result. And by the way, that's the same thing as we go down this entire sheet. If we know what the result is and we know that it's not what we're looking for, we can build a bridge. By the way, every bridge is going to be different for every one of you. It's not going to be the same for anybody in most cases, because we're all good at different things. All right, what's next on there? All right, how many listing appointments did I set today? How many listing appointments did I set today when I was calling? Simple, right? Why do we track that? Because we're looking for listings, guys. You all said that in the beginning. What's that?
So you know your hard work is paying off, you don't put all these hours.
I couldn't hear you.
So you know your hard work is paying off.
Okay.
You keep track of how long it's taking you to get that one.
Okay. Good. So it's part of what we're starting to catch on now, right? We're tracking the numbers so that we can know whether we're what? Whether we're good at it or whether we suck. Does it suck to suck? Yes, right? We need to get good at it. You want to set listing appointments? You got to make the calls. You got to do the activities. But if you're making the calls and doing the activities and you're not setting appointments, there's a challenge. There's a gap. We got to build that bridge. You got to figure out what your challenge is, and then you can easily overcome that challenge, right? What's the next one? How many listing appointments held? Anybody ever set a listing appointment and show up and nobody answered the door? What you really set up was a time that they knew they couldn't be home. That's what you really set up. Like you said, I'm going to be there at 6 o'clock on Thursday, and she hung up the phone and said, hey, we're going to dinner at 5:30 on Thursday, right? Because they knew that by you setting that appointment, that's when they had to be out of the house. Because they didn't really want to meet with you, but they didn't know how to say no. Does anybody in here like that? You just can't say no? Like, oh my gosh, it's a struggle. Like, it gives me anxiety to have to tell somebody no. I'm just too nice for that, right? Is that, you're smiling, that's true, right? I mean, it's hard to tell people no. But what we do is we figure out a way to get out of it. We just go to dinner. So how many listing appointments have you set, and how many did you hold? Why do we care? Because we need to find out if we're good at setting listing appointments or if we suck. And if we suck at setting listing appointments, we can be the biggest hero in the office. I set 13 listing appointments today. And you know how many did you go on? One. Well, something's wrong, right? You didn't really set 13 appointments, okay? So how many did I set? How many did I hold? What's the next one? How many contracts signed? Why do I need to know the relationship between how many appointments I went on to how many appointments I got signed contracts? So why do I need to know that?
See if you suck when you're listening.
Am I good at it or do I suck? This, like, guys, I'm a very simple person. This whole class is about, am I good at it or do I suck, right? So yeah, I've been on 13 listing appointments. Oh, sweet. How many listings did you get? One. Okay, we got a problem. We got to figure out what that problem is, right? There's a problem. I'll share a quick story. A good friend of mine, still a great friend of mine. In fact, I split hockey tickets with him at the Knights. His name is Jeff. About 7 or 8 years ago, Jeff knocks on my door at the office and says, Todd, I'm looking to join a team, but I only want to take listings. Oh, great, because guess that's odd, because you know why? Now that you're at my door bugging me, which I didn't really want you to do because the door was closed, I'm actually looking for a listing specialist. It's really weird that you're knocking on my door. Do you see how that works? Like, I'm not looking for someone to sell my house, but if somebody knocked on the door, I might go, oh yeah, maybe I do, right? So me and Jeff sit down and talk. I'm like, look, I don't want to go on another listing appointment in the rest of my entire life. Literally, I don't want to go on one. Because I was raised in this business, in the short sale business, where I just talked to people on the phone, they signed paperwork. They weren't going to make any money on their home anyway. They were just trying to get out of the liability of the money they owed the bank, right? Guess what I was good at? I was good at negotiating the bank. I wasn't good at going on listing appointments. Every house I sold during the short sale era, never one time seen the inside of the house. I closed 400 short sales, never one time seen the inside of the house. Agents would call me up, hey, does this house have I have no idea. Sorry, I don't know, never been in it. You've never been in the house? Yeah, I've never been in it. Why is that a problem? If you want to go see if it has that, you can set up a showing, I guess. That's what you do. You're a buyer's agent. Right? It was just my perspective. I don't go on listing. So Jeff says, I only want to do listings. I don't want to work on buyers. I said, okay, if you get a buyer, what are you going to do with it? I'm going to give it to the team. Great. If we get a listing, we're going to give it to you. He joins my team. The first month he works for me. First month, I give him 7 what I call come list me's. These are people who called up Todd, that guy number 1, and said, I need to sell my house. Come out, I need to sell my house. Those are called come list me's, right? Like, I'm not going there for an audition. I'm not going there to like flatter somebody. I'm literally going there to get paperwork signed, right? And how would I have normally handled that? I would have docu-signed the paperwork in about an hour. Yeah, no problem, Danielle, we'll put the paperwork together, get it over to you guys, get it signed, we'll get it on the market. But I have a new listing specialist, so what did I do? Jeff, I'm so excited I got a listing lead for you. They want to sell their house. Your appointment's Tuesday at 5 o'clock, right? Great. How many listings did Jeff take the first month? Out of 7 come list me's. 2. Guess what, guys? There was a challenge, there was a problem. He'd been in the business for like 7 years. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to take a listing. He knew what to say. He knew when to say it. But there was a gap between his ability to go on an appointment and actually get the paperwork signed. We had to figure out what that was. Now, if you go every listing appointment you go on, you take the listing, you get the paperwork signed, you don't have a problem there and you don't need to address it. But if you don't track it, you're never going to know. Because we always think, some of us always think that we're worse than we really are. And so we work on the wrong shit all the time. And some of us think that we're better at things than we really are. And so we don't work on the right shit. Does that make sense? Right? We got to know the numbers. You got to know exactly what it is you did or didn't do. So by the way, I called all 5 of the people who didn't list with Jeff that month and said, hey, what happened? Well, man, by the time Jeff got done explaining everything to us, we were confused and we didn't really know what to do. And so we just decided to hold off. So what was Jeff's problem? Yeah, diarrhea of the mouth. He had to tell them everything that could possibly happen in a real estate transaction, from beginning to end. And if this happens, we'll do this. And if this I'm like, Jeff, when they start going like this, go like this. So we practiced it. Jeff, look, like he'd be sitting at his desk, I'd be sitting, I'd say, hey, Jeff. And he'd grab a piece of paper and go, yes, that's what I want you to do. Shut up and hand him the piece of paper. Give him a pen and let him sign the paperwork. We'll deal with all the problem. Well, what if this happens? I don't know. What if it doesn't happen? Like, what if I get hit by a bus today? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to worry about that. A, I don't go near the buses. And B, I don't anticipate getting hit by one, so I'm not going to worry about that, Jeff. Let's just get him going like this, and then we'll get your bank account going like that. It works out great. Okay, does that make sense? Jeff had a problem. He had a gap. We had to put a bridge in place. And it was shut up. That's all it was. That simple. Never didn't take another listing that I sent him on. Literally. He learned that what he should and shouldn't be saying. He knew everything. Jeff and I's joke to this day is, Jeff, you're right. Because there's one thing Jeff really likes to be, even when he's dead ass wrong, it's right. I'm like, dude, you understand. I know. Okay, you're right, buddy. You are absolutely right. But him and I have an understanding that when that happens, he damn well knows he's wrong, but he needs me to tell him he's right. And it's all good, right? It's the bridge that we built in our friendship. All right, make sense? So we track how many listing appointments we set, how many did we go on, and how many did we take? Because we need to make sure there's no gaps in there and there's no bridges that need to be built. Is there any part of that process of taking a listing do I need to get better at? All right, next. Okay, buyer appointment set. How many buyers said, I'd like to meet with you about buying a home? Pretty simple, right? The next one is, how many did I hold? How many buyer appointments did I hold, right? Why do I care? Because I got to know whether I'm good at it or whether I suck. That's all. No judgment, just I need to know whether I need to get better at it or I don't. Simple as that. If I set 10 appointments, here's the numbers, by the way, guys. You talk to 100 people. You have a conversation with 100 people about buying a home. You can set 10 appointments. National average is from 100 conversations, you'll set 10 appointments. 5 of those 10 appointments are going to show up. The other 5 are not. The other 5 are the people who couldn't tell you no on the phone. They just said, yep, I'll be there. And then you set yourself your time. You wasted all the time. They didn't show up. Okay, get it. Of the 5 that do show up, 2 of them will close the deal with you. These are buyers. 100 conversations, 10 appointments set, 5 held, 2 closed deals. The closed deal, by the way, is they sign a buyer broker agreement. That's not yet money in your pocket. That's they've agreed to work with you. Now you got to go find them a house and do all that stuff as well.
Are those national averages?
So I used to run a real estate team that was based on the West Coast. They had 13 different teams throughout the West Coast. I ran Southern Utah, Southern Nevada, and Southern California. So I had 7 of those 13 teams, and we kept track of this for about 4 years. So it's real live, like part of this part of the country. One of the challenges I always have with NAR numbers is they're very East Coast based. And people's mentality and how they do business in the East Coast, whether you want to believe it or not, it's a little bit different than it is on the West Coast. So we put a system together where we track this with all of our agents here on, it was called Group 4610. Has anybody ever heard of Kevin Kaufman and Fred Weaver? Ever heard those names? Like they're big on social media. Anyway, they were the owners of the team and I worked for them for 3 years or so. So 100 conversations, 10 appointments, 5 people show up, you hold 5 appointments, and 2 of them sign buyer broker agreements. Because the next thing on our list is how many contracts did you get signed, right? So conversations, appointments set, appointments held, contract signed. And why do we track all those numbers? Because we need to know whether there's a gap between any of those. If I'm inviting 10 people to meet with me about buying a house, and they say, yeah, I'll be there Wednesday, 3 o'clock at your office. Yeah, 2200 Paseo Verde, right? Yeah, by the district. Oh, cool, see you Wednesday. And they don't show up. And then happens to me 10, 15, 20 times. What am I doing? What am I good at and what am I bad at? I'm bad at getting people to show up. That's all. The people on the other end of the phone don't believe they set an appointment with me. Because if they believed it, they would come, right? They just don't believe that they set an appointment with me. I believe it. Like, I'm so excited, I'm writing that shit in my calendar. And they're like, yeah, we take that out of the calendar. I don't know, it depends. But I'm just not good at getting the people that said yes to come to my office. So what could I do about that? I could work on it. In what sense? Like, what could I do physically? Maybe I meet them at their house. Maybe I set them up dinner appointment. I don't know. Hey, I'll meet you at 3 o'clock on Thursday, or you guys can have dinner at 3 o'clock over here at this restaurant near your house. I'm not sure which one. If you show up, great. If you don't, you're going to be having dinner, right? I don't know. But so I could say, hey, could I meet you at your house? Could I meet you at Starbucks? Could I meet you at... Yeah, if they show up or not. What else could I do? This is the simplest concept on the planet. What's the most simplest thing I could do for them?
Set reminders
Set yourself a reminder.
or get a confirmation.
But if you set yourself a reminder,
No, set reminders to your,
oh yes, we could send them a calendar invite. The world's all digital nowadays. Why aren't we just sending them a calendar invite that has in there, remind them one day before, right? Simplest thing.
and then call them.
Oh, you could touch base with them, right? You could call them the day before, a couple hours. So, but if I'm good at getting people to show up, I don't need to do all that stuff, right? Whatever it is, my conversation causes people to come. I don't need to go through all that crap. But if I'm not good at it, then I've got to put some things in place. I got to build that bridge between, yes, I'll meet with you, and I didn't show up. I got to put something in place, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we track the number. There's no judgment here. The numbers aren't about whether I'm good or whether I'm bad. It's just what do I need to get better at? And what are the things I can ignore? I'll bet you over the next 6 months that if you track all these things like we're talking about, you're going to find that there's one thing in this business that you're really good at that you thought you sucked at. And you're going to be like, wow, I could quit working on that. Like mine was scripts, actually. When I finally figured out one thing I was really good at was scripts. Do you know why? Because I did it every day, routine, every single day. I spent an hour doing some type of script practice with somebody, with myself. Like, I didn't use the excuse, oh, so-and-so didn't call me today. Well, I had it on my calendar for an hour, so I'd stand in front of that stupid mirror and I'd read the listing agreement to myself. I'd stand in front of the mirror and read the RPA. Like, guys, if you're not reading the RPA and the listing agreement out loud to yourselves several times a week, you're failing your clients. You need to know those two documents better than any other document we have, and you need to know what it says. And when you read it and you don't know what it says, you got to go talk to someone about what it says so you can explain it to your clients, right? Who do you talk to about that, by the way?
You.
Number one up there, yeah, he can help you with that, right? Or your team owner or a broker in another office. But somebody can help you better understand how to explain that to a client. Okay, what's next? Okay, how many offers did I write? Like I have a buyer, I set an appointment, I held that appointment, they signed the contract, right? Now how many offers did I write? Why do I care? This one's twofold. A, the people who are signing my contracts, are they really people I should be working with? Like I've got 37 buyer broker agreements sitting on my desk right now for my team. They're all unqualified buyers. 37. Good Lord, people, why are we meeting with 37 people that can't buy a house? I don't get it. Get better at pre-qualifying people on the phone before you set the appointment. Don't just be so excited that you set an appointment that they showed up for, but they're not really buyers. Like, here's the gap, guys. The gaps are, you're good at setting appointments. You're good at getting people to come in here. Now let's work on the quality of people that you're doing that with. Like, know the questions to ask to find out whether they can buy or sell. One of them today is, do you have a job? Are you currently on unemployment? Well, yeah, I've been fired last year. I'm on unemployment. Good. I'll talk to you in 6 months. I'm not going to meet with you. You can't qualify if you're on unemployment, right? Does that make sense? That's why we track this one, so we know. The second reason we track how many offers we wrote, what's the second reason, do you think? So am I good at writing offers or do I suck? I've submitted 14 offers for this client and nothing's been accepted. Well, you suck. I don't mean to be mean, but quite honestly, if you've written 14 offers and you haven't gotten it accepted, you suck at that. Let's get you some help. It's okay, don't be mad, but you need help. There's something that you're doing, there's terms that you're writing in there, there's things that don't match today's market. 2 days, I have a house on the market for 2 days. I got a $3,000 over list price offer, cash, and an agent wrote me an offer at $10,000 below asking for 3% in closing costs. That guy sucks at writing offers, right? I mean, everybody else is above list, not asking for closing costs. Some of them are even paying cash, and you think your client has a chance? No, right? So how many offers did I write? And does that ratio, do I have a bad ratio? And if it does, I got to get some help. I got to get some coaching, right? Make sense? That's why we track those two numbers. A, are the buyers that we have signed legitimate buyers that are writing offers because they got pre-qualified and because they're serious about buying a house? And when I do finally start writing offers, how many am I writing before I get to cash a check? What do you think the national average is of how many offers you have to write before you get one accepted? You can all guess. I mean, it's just a guess. Go ahead. Open it. 3, 2, 7, 5. I don't have a clue. I just wonder what your thoughts were on that. I don't know. I mean, I know what my number is. I know how many I have to write typically to get an offer accepted. But I don't know how many. I don't know what that is for you guys. And I don't think a national average really helps because some people are good at it, some people are bad at it. Oh, okay. We're out of time. How many more do we got to go? If you all have to leave, I get it. I'm going to finish. 5 more. I'm going to finish so you guys can take this with you and try to use it in your business. If you have to go and you have another commitment, I get it. I'm good. Go ahead. What's the next one?
Number of showings.
Okay, number of showings. Okay, why do we track? So this is, I've got buyers who have signed a contract, right? Now I'm taking them out to show them houses. How many showings did I do today? Did I show them 5 houses today? Then I write down 5. I showed 3, then I write down 3. And that's my showings for the day. It could be multiple clients, whatever it is, but I write down my number. Why do I care?
Because you're showing too many houses and you don't have enough information from the buyer knowing what they exactly want.
Okay, so if I'm showing too many homes before I'm writing enough offers, before I'm getting an offer accepted, I got a problem. My problem is I'm not holding buyer consults. I'm not sitting down in the conference room like Sherry's doing right now with her clients and having a conversation around what do you need, what do you want, what's a plus, what's a minus, what are your 5 must-haves, what's going to kill the deal. I'm not having that conversation with them. Either I'm not having it at all or I'm not having it at a high enough level. That could be also, right? So yeah, I want to know, how many homes do you think you need to show before you should be writing an offer? 5 or 6. For me, it's 5 or 6. Like I'm going to set up a showing in one day for 5 or 6 houses, and we're going to write on one of those 5 or 6 houses. Or what's going to happen?
You need to ask more questions.
We're going to sit down and find out what it was that didn't work for them so I can change that. But I'm not just going to I'm not going to be insane about showing houses, because what would that be? Just showing them 5 or 6 of the same houses again, doing the same thing over and over and over and getting no results, right? That's, by the way, that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over with the same result and expecting a different result. That's not how I want to run my business. 5 or 6 houses, we don't write 1 or 2 offers, we got to figure out why. There's a problem. They lied to me, they didn't know what they really wanted, their needs have changed, they don't want, I don't know, it's okay, but many people are afraid to tell you that their needs have changed. I had a young girl, I know we're out of time, sorry, but I gotta share this. So I had a young girl, single mom, she was my teller at the bank. Like, one thing I love about banking at a small bank is when I walk in, majority of the people behind there know me by name. I like that. I'm not a Wells Fargo guy where they don't know who I am and don't care, right? So I walk in, we've talked several times. She finally leans over the counter. She goes, I think I want to buy a house. I'm like, okay, why are we whispering? She said, I don't want no one here to know. I said, okay, all right, fine. So I said, let's just come to my office. What time do you get off? 4 o'clock. Okay, come to my office. It's down the street. I'll be there at 4. I'll be waiting for you. So she comes in, we sit down, we talk. And here was her number 1 need and want. The master bathroom, oh, I'm sorry, I can't call it that anymore. What's it called? The primary bedroom, bath, tub, and shower had to be separate. They couldn't be a combo deal, right? They had to be a bathtub and a shower that were separate. It's the only thing she cared about. I was like, wow, that's a super interesting, like, number 1 must-have. She goes, I know it's weird. I've got a daughter. She loves to play in the tub, and I'm going to give her that, but I want my own place to take a bath, take a shower. I'm like, I got it. No judgment. We're good. A challenge at the time was the market was going up substantially very quickly. And she got priced out of the market because every single house, because you understand that at some price point break, they split those up, right? Like they don't typically have them separate in some of the lower priced homes. It's the more expensive homes that have those split up in the primary, right? So it happened that she was so critical about it that she wouldn't look at anything that didn't have it. And guess what? She didn't get to buy a house. I don't know if she ever bought a house. I haven't spoken to her too much since then. She no longer works at the bank, but people have needs and wants. And like we didn't look at a lot of properties because what she could qualify for as a single mom on a single income at the time didn't qualify for her for the quality of house that had that feature, right? I knew that, so we weren't showing a lot of houses. That's why we track how many showings we've had. All right, what's next? Okay, open houses held. That's on there because on my team, you're required to hold 2 a month. Like for me, that's just me holding my people accountable to 2 open houses a month. That's all that's there for. We don't have any accountability numbers tied to open houses. Like we don't track specifically the results of an open house, but it does go into the rest of our numbers, right? That's a lead gen activity. How many people did we talk to? How many people did we get to put in the database? That kind of thing, it all works in there. What's next? Okay, another requirement on my team. My team, you have to meet with 2 of your sphere of influence a week, 2 sphere of influence face-to-face conversations a week. We have to get face-to-face. A Zoom call has been counting recently. I'm getting ready to change that because I want people back out face-to-face. But I've got to go talk to somebody in my sphere of influence, someone who knows me, that likes me, that would do business with me if they had a need to. I got to go talk to them face-to-face.
About real estate?
Yeah, no, not about real estate. Absolutely not. No, I'm being serious. Absolutely not about real estate.
Oh,
No. My face-to-faces are about relationship building and that's it. Now, if they ask me about real estate, which is going to be hard for them not to because I'm going to show up in my uniform, right? If they ask me about it, okay, it's the door has opened. But that's not my purpose for doing it. Not even close. So good question. Good catch. So that's why that's on there because they have to do that twice a week. That's part of our quarterly staying in touch with our sphere of influence people. All right, what's next?
Thank you cards.
On my team, they have to write 2 thank you cards a day, 10 a week. You can do them all in one day. You can do them 2 a day. I don't care. You write them out. You address them. You give them to me. I put a stamp on them. I don't care what they say. I don't care who they go to. They can go to your mom. I don't care. You just have to do 2 a day just to say thank you. For something, I don't care. Thanks for talking to me. I don't know. Hey, thanks for crashing into the side of my car. Glad we got to meet. Sorry it happened. I don't know. Like I can turn a negative into a positive in a thank you card in a heartbeat. So anybody I have a disagreement with, I'm sending them a thank you card, right? Trying to turn that negative into a positive. Because this is a relationship building business. You can know everything there is to know about the business. You can know everything there is to know about real estate. You can know everything about pricing and staging and everything. And you can go on 7 listing appointments in a month and only get 2 of them. It's my friend Jeff, by the way. Remember I just told that story for those of you that were sleeping, right? The guy knows everything. He is a student of the business and he can only take 2 out of 7 because it wasn't about relationship building for him. It was about paperwork and about him being the one that was right? So thank you cards are just about building relationships. They don't have to talk about real estate. Hey, I'm sorry your dog got run over yesterday. Hope you have a better week. Throw a card in there, send it out. Super short, super sweet. You go to Walmart, by the way. You walk into Walmart, the very first thing you walk up to are all their greeting cards. There's always a bucket at the end of one of the aisles, and there's 10 for $1 packets in there, super generic. That's all you need. They don't even need to say thank you on them. Some of mine have cats, some of mine have dogs. They have flags, I don't know. You're sending one to a Patriot, send them a flag, right? I don't know, but it's super easy. Just 2 a day, that's all you gotta do.
homes previewed.
All right, homes preview. These are for my newer agents that have been in the business for less than a year and they've closed less than 10 transactions. They must preview 5 homes a day. What's the difference between showing homes and previewing homes?
You're by yourself.
Okay, if I'm showing, I'm with a client. If I'm previewing, I'm by myself. Because then I can have that conversation with myself about the house, what a pile of crap it is or whatever, right? I get to say whatever I want because I'm by myself. But there's cameras nowadays, so be careful because
So why do you do that? Like, besides knowing the inventory?
that's the only reason. There's no secret here. It's just about knowing the inventory. I've probably sold 10 homes in my career because as I'm having a conversation with somebody and they tell me that this is what they're kind of looking for, I've literally put them in the car at that moment and drove to a house that I seen a week ago, and they were like, yep, this is it, let's write the offer. Because I knew the inventory. I knew what they could buy. I knew where that house was. Anybody gonna, look, I wanna buy a mid-century modern. Where can I buy that at in Las Vegas? Does that even exist in Las Vegas?
Yes, area 302.
Where?
Area 302.
Okay, so what part of town is that for the ones that don't know areas? Because we don't use areas anymore.
Sahara and, what was the other street?
Yep.
Okie,
Sahara, Okie, Charleston, down to Maryland Parkway, even maybe down to Eastern, right? Yeah, you can buy those there. But here's what happens. And every one of you should be able to raise your hands after I say this. Someone has said to you, this is what I'm looking for. And your response was this: great, let me set you a search up in the MLS and I'll send you some emails with some properties. Anybody ever done it? Is that your standard of practice? All right, I want you to start tracking every time you say that, how many of those people you ever talk to again in your life. I set them up a search. I sent them properties. Like a week ago I did it, but they haven't called me back. All right, well, I'm sorry. Hey, Wally, how are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah, didn't even say that.
Those guys are on my team. All right, listen, that's the worst way to do business. It literally is. Like I'm going to go set up a search for you. Look, if you can't say, I've seen that house in Summerlin that you want to buy, let's go look at it, you're not going to see them again. Now, these are not your friends and family. These are other people that you run into. These are people you're door knocking. These are internet leads that you're talking to on the phone. These are not your close personal friends, because you're always going to talk to them again. But for all of you new people, you have your sphere of influence. It's going to be your biggest source of leads and business in your first year, maybe your first 2 years, depends on how big it is. It will run out at some point, and you will have to know how to work with other types of people. Ever been at an open house and the guy go, man, I really want to buy a house. We're in town from California. This just isn't the one for us. And you go, oh, sorry, I'm sorry that you don't like it. And they turn around and walk out the door. Has that ever happened to anybody? No? Like they bought the house you were standing in?
No, I'm the house you're standing in.
But they're at a house, they're there because they're trying to buy. You never let them leave. How do you let them leave? Oh, you let them leave by, okay, I'm going to set you up a search and send you an email.
No,
I'm not being mean.
I know. I try and get their information because sometimes they don't give you their correct.
Because you're going to set them up a search and send them an email.
Of course.
Yeah.
Show them whatever house is available.
Ha! I close the door to the open house and I take them out and show them houses. Right then and there. People are like, you do what? Like you're supposed to be holding an open house. No, I'm here to find a buyer. I'm not here to hold this house open. NAR statistics says less than 1% of the people that look at an open house buy that house. Less than 1%. I'm not willing to work at a less than 1% ratio. I'm sorry. I would rather be hanging out with my 5-year-old grandson than standing in an open house with a less than 1% chance of selling it. I will lock the door. I will put a sign on the door that, oh, you've done all the advertising and your signs are out. And oh my gosh, what about social media? Yeah, who cares? Like they want to see another house. I know of 5 houses in the neighborhood because I previewed them before my open house. I know of 5 houses that are vacant. I already know about them. I could just take them to them. I don't know if they fit their criteria. You know what? I never even asked. I was like, hey, Christian, there's a house down the street. If you don't like this, I think you might like that one. Let's run down and look at it. Not, well, why don't you tell me what your criteria is? Are you pre-qualified? Did you talk to a lender? And when are you going to be buying? Is it in the next 30 days? Because, you know, if you're not pre-qualified and you're not buying in the next 30 days, and I don't have time to work with you. That's not my perspective. Mine is, I'm here to build relationships. I don't care if they buy in 5 years, because you know why? Why do I care if they buy today or 5 years? Why does that not matter to me?
Because if they're going to buy, they're going to buy with you.
This is my business. I'm going to be here in 5 years. What do I care? I'll need business in 5 years too, right? Now, I'm also not going to show them 37 homes. Like there's a gap there, right? I got to figure what that is for me. But I'm going to go with them and build that relationship so they like me. They just have to like me. They don't. That's all that has to happen is they have to like me. And they might go, you know what, I don't like any of this. You know what, I don't like the neighborhood. Oh, I hear you. Great, let's go look in Summerlin. We'll go look up in Summerlin tomorrow at 11. Yeah, cool, let's do it. Right, now I've got a relationship with them. They know I know how to show houses. They know I can get them into doors.
But you would do that without making sure they're qualified or anything like that?
The
Like the second step, the second time out?
So yes and no. Like that's always a challenge, right? Like I tell people, set an appointment. If someone wants to buy or sell a house, set an appointment. Just set an appointment. Well, we got to ask all these questions. No, you set the appointment. And then between today and the appointment, you go back and ask the questions. Why do we do it that way? Because if we go back to ask the questions and they ghost us, they're just people who couldn't say no. But if they answer the phone and go, oh yeah, hey, listen, I haven't talked to a lender. Okay, hey, I'm going to have my lender give you a call. Standard procedure, by the way. He'll call you, it's easy, he'll have a 5-minute conversation with you. That's all, before we go look at house. Oh yeah, great. An hour before we're going to look at homes, hey, did you talk to Tony? Well, no, I haven't hooked up with Tony. Oh, good, let me get you on the phone with him right now because we need to do this before we go look. Like, I can cancel the appointment if they don't do what I need them to do, right? But I do what they need me to do to build that relationship. And if I've talked to them 4 times since I set the appointment and the appointment happened, have I built a relationship? Yeah. Like they're more into me now than they were when I very first set the appointment because I've followed up. I've had meaningful conversations about real estate with them, right? So that's always a good question. Would I do that? I don't know. Most of the time, yes. Like if they wanted to go the next day, I would probably go with them for a couple of houses the next day. And then I'd have some tragedy that happened in my life that I'd have to, I could only do 2 houses a day because at 10 o'clock I got, this happened and I didn't know it was going to happen. I'm sorry, right? Like I'm good at that whole, like if you knew some of the stories I told about the boot I have on, you'd be like, wow, you should be a creative writer. So yes, I would do that because I'm building a relationship. If I felt like I already had the relationship, I'd just drop the bomb on them, right? The bomb is, let's put pencil to paper here. Let's get this done. Like if you're really going to buy a house and you don't like any of those and we want to do this again, I'm happy to show you some more houses. I need you to talk to my lender. We're going to sit down and do a buyer consult. You're going to sign my buyer broker agreement, and then we're going to go do whatever you need to do. I'll be all yours for the rest of your life, right? So it's a good question, and you need to figure that out for yourself because there are agents that won't do any of that until then, and they set fewer appointments, they go on fewer appointments, and they close fewer deals. That's called getting in. That, in my opinion, that's just getting in the way of your business. Like when you start putting up roadblocks before you even do anything for anybody, that's just getting in the way of your own business. I think you should be willing to give enough to build a relationship. Whatever that is different for everybody. All right, what else is on there? That's it? Okay.
You were right about the 2 hours.
Not quite. I got 13 more minutes. All right, so let me just say this. These are numbers that we track routinely. It's a big deal for me. I'm a numbers person. There's people out there that aren't numbers people. There's some of you that aren't numbers people, and that's okay. You're going to be less diligent in doing this, but whatever you can do that you're not doing now will just cause your business to grow. So there was today on the coaching call, let me just say this real quick again. Another thing, if you don't have coaching of some kind, you need to get coaching. Whether some of you are on teams, right? Like if your team owner, Christian, isn't coaching you on a regular basis, you might be with the wrong team owner. Like you need to be sitting down with your coach and talking about your business, what's happened, what's not happened. You got to figure out where those gaps are. That's the person that's going to help you build those bridges, right? And I pick on Christian because I know he's really good at that. That's why I wasn't throwing him under the bus. I mean, he's really good at doing just that with his team. And by the way, if you want to look at the results, his team's results show that. So you need coaching. If you don't have coaching, you got to find a coach. You got to find someone. Spend the time building the bridges because you have to get better at some of these things. You just have to get better at some of these things if you're going to survive in this business. I was told today that the average agent lead generates between 20 and 30 minutes per day. What was the goal? 3 hours. And the average does it between 20 and 30 minutes. And here's what's interesting for me about that. There's over 17,000 real estate agents in this valley. How are they lead generating for 20 to 30 minutes a day and still surviving in the business? Like, they're making enough money to make a living to survive at 20 or 30 minutes a day. Good Lord, what if you did 3 hours a day? Like, you'd be the top 1% of the industry, not the average guy. You'd be at the top. So it's going to be very difficult for any of you to do 3 hours of lead generation every single day. You can't do it day one. You can do it day one. Day two, it becomes harder. Day three, it becomes harder. What I will tell you is, let's grow into it. If you've been doing 30 minutes, let's do an hour next time. Let's do a week of an hour. And then the next week, let's do an hour and a half. Because here's what happens. We need to know who to call, where to call. There's other information we need other than just knowing we have 3 hours set aside for lead generation. And you just don't know what that is until you get in the middle of it. And then after an hour, you go, I don't have anybody else to call, but I'm not going to let this happen tomorrow. I'm going to get a bigger, better list. Or this activity didn't last long enough, and so I'm going to do this activity plus this activity. I'm going to be ready to go, right? You just don't know all of the things that you're going to need in that 3 hour time. Does that make sense? And you'll grow into it. And then eventually you're going to get to the point where you're like, oh crap, it's like this class, like crap, it's been an hour and a half. I got 5 more things to do. What do I do? Well, today I elected to finish, right? If it was enough things, I'd have probably said, you know what, let's just do this again another day and finish this up. But you get a choice then to see whether you have something else to do or whether you should continue to lead generate. So grow into it. Start at 30 minutes, start at an hour, and just do that for a couple of weeks, and then get to the next level, and then get to the next level. And I promise you 3 hours is not as treacherous as you think it is. It really isn't. It is treacherous today because all of you are thinking the same thing. I don't know what I would do for 3 hours. I could sit at an open house. Is that going to do any good if you didn't advertise it, if you didn't door knock, if you didn't do all the things that go along with an open house? Probably not. No results are going to come from it that are going to be results that cause money to go into your bank account. Is there anybody here that's doing real estate for any reason other than making money? I forgot to ask that question. Like, do any of you do it because you just love it? It's my most favorite thing in the world to do every single day of my life. No, right? Because if you said yes to that, I would ask you to do it for a year for free and see how much you really loved it. I promise you don't love it that much. But it's a great way to make a living. It's a great way to earn money. It's a great way to step up in your life. So, okay, thanks for coming. Sorry I went past I got 9 more minutes. 8 more minutes. Fine, you must be busy. All right, any questions? Anything that, even if it's not related to today's class, I'm happy to go.
So the people that you're calling and they're saying, not now, I'm not ready right now, I might be ready in 6 months or 8 months or a year, whatever. You want to keep in contact with them. What do you say to these people? Every month, every 6 weeks? Like how does it, I have people that they're ready, they want to buy later on. I want to keep in contact. I don't know what to say to them.
You have nothing to say? You have nothing to say?
I don't know what to say.
Well, what I would tell you that you probably don't want to say is something about real estate. The reason you don't have anything to say is because you think it has to be real estate based. And it doesn't, and it shouldn't be. It should be relationship based. That's all. Hey, just checking in. It's been you said you're going to probably buy a house in 6 months. We talked 6 months ago, 3 months ago. I'll always tell you when someone tells you 6 months, you're going to call them again in 3 months, right? You're probably going to send a text at some point in between there. I'm not a huge proponent of having to make a phone call every single time. What I like to do, and your system does this, I know, is I like to do a voice drop. Like at the 3 month mark, I like to get my standard voice drop, my most relationship-based voice drop I have in my system. And I like to just drop a voice drop because I don't have to talk to them. They don't have to talk to me. Yeah, it just goes to your voicemail. It's called a voice drop. Goes to your voice. You ever got a voicemail on your phone and your phone didn't ring? It's a voice drop. Yeah, there's systems out there that just put that message in your phone. And then here's the deal. I don't need to talk to them. That's the hard part, right? What am I going to talk about? I just need credit. I just need them to know I'm thinking about them and that I tried to reach out to them. So I'm going to drop a voice drop. They're going to go, oh, that was really nice of Todd to reach out. I thought he was too busy for that. That's it. That's all it's about. So you're you're not going to have a lot of real estate conversations with people you're following up on over phone. You're really going to pull them into the office and do a consultation like you've been doing with some of your clients. But staying in touch is just staying in touch. Like how would you stay in touch with your cousin who you haven't seen in a year?
Probably just an instant message or something like that. Hey, how are you doing? Checking in.
So why can't you send that to,
Basically the same thing.
why can't you send that exact same thing to every one of your clients?
Yeah, and I was just wondering if there was something more specific, because again, I don't know what I should be saying. I want to keep them
Yeah.
in that,
No, it's that simple.
so just that.
Like I also don't leave voicemails. Like if I call a lead and a machine, I don't leave a voicemail. I say, it's Todd, call me back. Oh my gosh, you're so rude. That's so unprofessional. Yes, it is. And they call me back every damn time. Because when I called them, I wanted to talk to them. I didn't want to leave a 20-second message that said, hi, it's Todd at Signature Real Estate Group, and I'm calling to see if you want to sell your home. If you want to sell your home, call me back at 702-526-9202. And my email, like, that's not, has anybody ever got that message on your phone? And be honest, what'd you do with it? Delete. Like, you gave them all of the information, and now they know whether they want to call you back or not. But when I say, hey, it's Todd, give me a call, they're like, oh crap, who's Todd? I think I must know this guy. He was like acting like I knew him. I better call him back, right? But if I leave the voicemail that tells them everything they need to know, they're not going to call me back. They get to make a choice, a conscious decision on whether they do or don't want to call you back, right? So I want you to stop thinking so hard about how to talk to clients and just think about how to be their friend. That's all. Like, one thing I've done really well is every note I've ever put in is about my last conversation with the client has had something in it that the next time I talk to them, I bring that up. Whatever it is. She had to go because the baby was crying, right? What do I know? I know she has a young baby, right? I know it's probably frustrating to be on the phone and have to hang up because your baby's crying. So the next time I talk to her, how's the baby? I don't know the baby's name. I don't know if it's a boy or I don't know if it's a girl. I don't know. I just know there's a baby. Hey, how's the baby? Man, you ask somebody about their baby and you're in. That's like the fastest relationship building. You know they have a baby, you're good, right? So stop trying to think about how to talk to somebody about real estate all of the time, because there's appropriate times to do that, and just be their friend. Just call them, talk to them like they're your cousin you haven't talked to in a year. I'm just checking in. We talked 3 months ago. I'm just checking in to see how you are, see if there's anything I can do to help you. By the way, I know you've got children, and the trunk or treat for our office is on the 27th at the Southwest office. I'd like to invite you and your kids to come. It's free. Would you like to go? Yeah, I'd love to go. Great. Hey, I'm going to shoot you an email real quick with the flyer so you have all the details. Like, how would you invite your cousin to come, or your aunt, or your brother, or your sister, or some relative, or high school friend? How would you invite them to the trunk or treat? I don't know. Like, I've got a group text with a bunch of my friends that I would go, hey, bitches, we're going to a trunk or treat on 27th. Don't miss it. Like, I'm not going to talk to them any differently in that text about real estate than I would on any other day, right? That's just that's called relationship building. And I guarantee you, if I put it in there that way, like I use the B word, I know that's inappropriate. I'm sorry if that offended anybody. That's how we talk to each other. It's okay. We're not mad, right? If I put it that way, they're showing up. They know that I talk to them at the level that we communicate at. If I say, hey guys, I wanted to let you know there's a trunk or treat at my company on the 27th, not a one of them is going to show up. You know why? It was too businesslike. That's not me. They're going to be like, his secretary must have sent that. Literally, I would get replies back that would say, hey, can you tell Julie to quit using your phone? That's my assistant, by the way. Be like, what are you talking about? Well, what text you just sent didn't come from you. Like, if I put emojis in my text, people know right away that's not me. I don't do that, right? My kids, they're like, Dad, why don't you put some emojis in your, or I'll be driving and they'll text somebody for me. They'll put an emoji in it. My clients don't believe that was really me. This is not me. Talk to them the same way you talk to your friends and family, 100% all the time. Act like you know them from day one when you very first meet them. What else? One other thing about that real quick. If your worries are that you may offend somebody because of the way that you talk to them, it's okay. You are probably going to offend them sometime really soon anyway, and you probably weren't going to do business with them, and let's just get that out of the way right now. Make sense? I mean, I can only walk on so many eggshells, and I'm going to fall through at some point. And if they like me, they like me, and if they don't, they don't. And I'm not mad either way. In fact, my buyer consultation, one of the things I tell people is one of three things is going to happen today. You're going to like me and my team, and we're going to do business together. Number two is you might not like me, and you may choose not to do business with me, and I want you to know that I'm not offended. I know this is a business decision for you. And the third thing that might happen is I may choose not to work with you. I don't want to get you involved in this transaction and then not live up to your expectations. I'd rather tell you today that we shouldn't work together than let you down 30 or 45 days from now. It's okay. Like, people respect the fact that you could possibly say no. In fact, when I say number three and I say it, they go like, remember how they got uncomfortable a minute ago? They start like shifting around. Like, what? You may choose not to work with me. Aren't you a used car salesman, real estate agent? Aren't you just chasing commissions? No, I'm chasing quality of life. There's enough commissions out there. I'm just looking for quality of life. And if you're a piece of, and we're not going to work together. So don't worry about, you're going to do business with people who know you, that like you. That's it. If they don't like you, they're not going to do business with you. Even, I don't care if you know every script. I don't care if you know every conversion store. I don't care what you know or how good you are. If they don't like you, they are not going to do business with you. So don't be afraid of pissing somebody off, because it's going to happen. It's okay. The sooner you piss them off, the sooner you can get on to the next guy. That's my philosophy. All right, thanks for coming. I was going to write a whole bunch of stuff on this sheet right here for you guys, but Christian left early, so I didn't.